Did I pop my new stress ball? I'm getting sticky on my hands.
Damn, that hate for Pam is really strong. It's like that Dumb and Dumber when he grabs his heart.
It's gonna Kali Ma my stress ball. My mom is saying like she's like, I wish you guys would look into the camera more when you're talking. And I'm like, okay, but when I'm talking to Jose or Daniel or whoever, I feel weird talking to the camera, and then because I want to see your reactions because I'm talking to you, and it's awkward to look in
Yeah.
the camera all the time. Don't you feel like it's awkward?
Well, no, it is because like you're here, my notes are here, and the camera's up there.
Yeah, and a lot of time we're reading notes, so it's not like I can be like like this. From movies to video games, welcome to Replays It All. Today's episode is Side Quest, and we have Jose here in the house.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And today we're talking we're talking about something. It's Ice Cube, right? Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was used in so many songs. It just brought me back to like the 90s. Yeah, yeah. That was the way to do it. You just had to call out random sounds.
Oh,
That was it. I mean, that's what Snoop Dogg made a living out of, just making sounds, putting them together, and people were like, "That's a word."
and it works, and they're rich now. So today you and I were talking one day about characters that are portrayed as like protagonists or like characters you're supposed to like that are endearing, you're supposed to like main character type people that really are awful human beings or evil or just terrible. And yeah, and you're like, let's do an episode about this. I'm like, I have a lot to say, so yes.
Yeah, because sometimes you're watching something and there's someone that you're supposed to be cheering on. They're the protagonist, they're the lead, that they're who the attention's on. But then if you like sit down, just actually look at their actions, not what you're supposed to see, but like what you actually see, and you're like, this person's kind of a dick.
This is an awful human being, but for some reason we're
Yeah.
supposed to be rooting for them. All right, Jose, let's hear your
Yeah.
first hero that's a villain, really. Oh wait, we're also
Okay.
doing TV and movies, okay? TV
Yes.
shows and movies. Okay, good. Clarify that.
Yes. Yeah, I think most of mine's a movie, but there is one that's a blend of both.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go with an obvious one first, just to kind of get us warmed up, get us off on the road, and that's gonna be Rose from the Titanic. Villain, S- villain, like call the Avengers and take her out, like level villain. That's what we have with Rose. First of all, I'm just gonna point out the most obvious one that everyone already knows, and that's that she could have saved Leo. Okay, there was room on that board if she would have just put the effort to have him on, but she'd rather be comfortable. She's like, I love you. I will never let you go. Oh, your hand's getting cold. Get away from me. Get away from me. And just like let him like drop in there. So that's the most obvious one. Where even Cameron admitted finally after decades, like, okay, he could have also fit uh
Yeah.
onto
Yeah.
that piece of board. So
Yes.
that's evidence number one.
Okay.
Two, besides that, she indirectly led to his death by jumping off the lifeboat. She could have just stayed on the lifeboat, would have been safe. He could have worried about himself and getting himself out. Both of them safe. He could have used the board for himself, most likely. But no, by her jumping off the lifeboard, it set the chain of events where all of a sudden she's on the board and he's in the water. So then she led to that. Strike two.
Mm-hmm.
Strike three, this is like in the future. So these people are spending all this money, all these resources. They're risking their lives. As we know, as we found out earlier this year, it's not always safe to go down there. Things can just implode on you very quickly. So these people are risking their lives doing all that, looking for, trying to find that little gem. And she has it the whole time, doesn't say a word to them. And even after all of that, in talking to them, she still doesn't say anything. She's like, you know what? They're not looking. Let me just dump it in the water. I don't want it either. Like, it's a dick move. Like, hey, just keep searching, keep wasting your time, keep wasting resources.
And
I hope you
resources.
don't. Yeah, I hope you don't lose someone down there for something I could have just gave you. That's my rant on
Oh, I
Rose.
felt it. I felt it. And you're like, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna get heated in this episode. I know we are because I we're both gonna talk about things that we're passionate about, like really passionate.
It just when I think of Rose, it makes me think. I don't know if you ever seen that Key and Peele skit where they're both talking, uh, fighting for their wives, and they're just like, and that's it, bitch. That's what when I think of Rose, I'm like, and that's it, bitch. What are you doing? He's selfish, self-centered. Here's my theory. She used them. She wasn't happy with what was happening. She saw like, oh, here's this kid from the lower class and all of that stuff. I can take advantage of him. I can have an in-boat cruise like fling happening. Then afterwards, we're in two separate like statuses, so I'll never see him again. I'll be good. I'll be free. So that was the thing. And then when it came to the boat and they got into the water and all of that, she saw her chance. She was like, oh, the kid's getting a little clingy right now. Time to cut loose and just let him drop in the water.
She's a predator. Is what you're saying?
Hmm.
I believe it. Who else agrees? Tell us in the comments.
So that's my first protagonist that's really a villain.
Okay, my first one. He's on my shirt, and this is a very common villain that people like to
Is it,
point out.
wait, let me try to guess.
You know it's not Chandler.
Is it Ross?
It's definitely Ross. Do you have Ross in your list?
No, no, but I have heard people declare their
Mm.
hatred for Ross.
The thing is, I don't hate Ross's character at all. Some of the funniest episodes and moments in that whole series revolve around Ross. Like his physical comedy is like unmatched. I There's some episodes like with the white teeth and the tan and the leather pants. I'm just like I love like Ross is hilarious. I like his
Pivot,
character.
pivot.
I'm like, what? Bad.
That's that seems forever ingrained in my head, and I laugh every time.
Oh, see, there you go. Another like pinnacle Ross comedy moment. It's comedy gold. But as a partner and as a boyfriend, he is not good. He is and Rachel's not great either. Okay, there's Rachel has a lot of bad things going for her too. But Ross, okay, there's I'm gonna only focus on two instances where Ross really grinds my gears. First one is this: when he doesn't want Rachel to take the job that Mark offers her because Mark is a man. That whole episode, I'm like infuriated. Rachel in this episode is frustrated and she's feeling lost because she doesn't know what to do with her life, basically. She hates her current job and she's trying to make it on her own for once in her life instead of being like a spoiler rich girl. And she gets this amazing opportunity from this, happens to be a man. And Ross is so possessive and so insecure. He makes the whole thing about him the whole time. And I hate the comment where he's like, "Oh, men aren't polite to women unless they're trying to get sex." It's like, oh, okay, sorry, that's not Rachel's fault, is it? That's men's fault, not Rachel's fault. So women aren't supposed to. What are we supposed to do? You know what I mean? And Monica says like the best quote, one of my most favorite quotes in the whole series, is she says to Ross, "So what if he wants to have sex with her? Does that mean he gets to?" And Ross is like, "Oh no." It's like, oh. So and Mark had a girlfriend at the time. So it doesn't even like oh my god. Just that whole episode where he's like trying to get her to not go for this job that she really wants grinds my gears. Okay. Also, there's the
Yes,
episode.
feel that anger.
I'm sweating. Also, there's the episode where Rachel is spending too much time at work. And because work is so busy and Ross gets angry because he isn't seeing her as much. And so she says to him, "I'm finally doing something I love. I'm finally doing something I'm good at." And Ross, again, can only think about himself. And she says, maybe it's good that she has her own thing, like that she has something that he's not involved with, something that's just for her that she's doing that she really loves. And Ross is just like, and he like hates that. He doesn't want Rachel to have any independence, any sense of individuality at all. He wants to keep her stagnant and just he doesn't want her to grow just because he is so insecure and possessive. He just wants to like keep her in this like emotional and mental state where she is just all his. And it's kind of funny that he does this based on his jealousy and insecurities, and he doesn't want her to get a good job because when he was doing that pros and cons list with her and Julie and like who to date, he says that Rachel's just a waitress as a con. It's like, okay, well, do you want her to move on and get like a new job and a better job to be more successful? Or
Not
no?
if a man's offering it.
Right? But I'm sorry, but who's usually like the higher ups in businesses? Men. So what are you supposed to do? You're only allowed to work at businesses with women as the bosses? No. Oh, Ross.
I feel like if you were to describe the scenario, leave out the names, leave out the show, and
Mhm.
be like, what do you think this is? People would be like, that's a Lifetime movie about someone who murders their spouse. I
Yeah.
feel like that's all the pieces there you need for that Lifetime movie.
If you said that to anybody else, you'd be like, oh my gosh, she better break up with him. She can't be with him. But because it's like Ross and Rachel, we're like, I hope they get together in the end. It's like, I don't know, man. I think part of me thinks that Rachel should have been with Joey, to be honest. Cause like that was, I don't know. Ross was too much, too controlling, too possessive, and too insecure for sure.
I do remember. I remember I watched the show randomly. I was never one. I didn't watch it throughout. I
Mm,
didn't dislike the show, so there was nothing against it.
mhm,
It was at a time pre-streaming and all of that where it was like
mhm.
if you didn't catch it when it was on, like you were screwed. So
Yeah.
that's why I never like watched it through. But I do remember I had friends that were really into it, and I remember them talking about how much they wanted Joey to be with Rachel, and
Yeah.
with behavior like that, it's understandable.
Yeah. I've seen the show probably 11 times over. Like my team and I won second place at a friend's trivia night. So, I know the show like the back of my hand, and Ross always pisses me off no matter what.
Then I need to ask you a very serious question regarding this. Were they on a break?
No,
Mm.
I don't think, I mean, I would be upset if I had said to my boyfriend, oh, we're just like, maybe we should just take a break. And he left. We didn't confirm anything. He just walks out. They didn't actually talk about it. He walks out and then that same night sleeps with somebody else. No, not acceptable. I'd be like, oh, you're so
Okay.
sad, right?
You need the confirmation. You know, you have to hit OK or cancel. If not, you're still in the pop-up.
Not even just that though. Even if they did say, okay, yeah, we're going to take a break, the fact that he slept with somebody, a stranger, that same evening, no, no.
I mean, that probably means that it was already intended before the break. And I was just like, gotta do it quick before the confirmation.
See, no, she didn't. She shouldn't have given him another chance. No.
Okay. I can see that. I can see him as the villain.
Who's going number
Okay.
two?
Following, this is gonna be another movie. Ferris from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is not a good person, not a good friend overall. Okay, so let's go down the list of things here. So first of all, he dragged his friend who didn't want to skip with the excuse that it was for him. We know it wasn't. It wasn't for him. This was for Ferris, all for himself. All right. He faked that he was dying, and they had people collecting money to help with his sickness. Like who does that? Like imagine right now you say like, "Hey, I'm dying from this," and you start like a GoFundMe or something, and it's like, what? How are people gonna react to that? Like it's not cool to do that.
Ross did it in Friends. He faked his death.
That adds to it. Even adds to it.
Okay.
So you had that.
Mm,
He manipulates his friend to take his father's car,
yeah.
which leads to it being trashed. And then he lets his friend take the responsibility for it. Like, yeah, I get it. His friend got to, speak up for himself and do that, but he should not have had to. If he's going to speak up for himself, let it be a situation that he caused and led to it, not for you to save
Yeah.
you the whole time. And then he's doing all this like bad stuff. And then on top of that, he gets his sister in trouble with the police. So, like his own family. So he's the protagonist. He's the one we're supposed to be cheering on, but his behavior screams bad guy.
Yeah, he's manipulative and just arrogant and everything's about him. So yeah, he's not a good person.
I feel he is the type. He would be the Ross in the relationship, and if he would get himself a girlfriend, and he would be gaslighting the crap out of her, because that's basically what he's doing here with his friend. You know, this is for you. I'm doing this for you. No, you're not. You're not doing it for him because he didn't want to do it.
Good one, Jose. I agree too. I agree with it. My next one is from a movie. And I wasn't going to use this one until you brought it up yesterday. It's Julia Roberts' character in My Best Friend's Wedding. I honestly have seen this movie probably 40 or 50 times. I used to watch it probably once a week when I was a kid at my grandma's house. Like I know this movie. I watched it so many times. Basically, okay, Julia Roberts' character has a best friend and she had a brief romantic past with. She broke it off with him, but they stayed friends. And they swore that if they weren't married by the time they're 28, that they would get married. So he calls her, says he needs to talk to her. She thinks it's that. It's not. He calls her, says, I'm getting married. So, of course, because now she can't have him, she wants him. She goes to the wedding and tries to split them up and steal him for herself. Okay. It's first of all, it's terrible already, but it gets worse. Yes.
So, there are a few things worse than like, no, no, no. Oh wait, you someone else got your attention? Yes, yes. Come on, now I want you. There's nothing worse than well, I mean, I can't say there's nothing worse than that, but there's few things worse than that.
That is a huge part as to why I get so mad at her in this movie. Because well, first of all, her character is portrayed as like kind of cold and unromantic, and she gets restless in relationships, doesn't want to settle down, she's not affectionate or open. And her best friend Michael, his fiance Cameron Diaz in the movie, is all of these things, which is what her friend needs in a human. And Julia Roberts is none of these things, never has been. Okay. Yet, despite her character being this conniving, like possessive, selfish, borderline evil person, as viewers, you view Julia Roberts as like America's sweetheart. So you want her to prevail and you want her to succeed for some reason. It's just in your
It's the
mind
smile.
brainwashed.
It's the
It's this,
smile.
it is. And we've seen her in movies like Pretty Woman and Steel Magnolias and Sleeping with the Enemy and even Hook, where she has all these hardships and a heartache that you just feel like, oh, I want Julie Roberts to win. I want her to find love. Anyway, so basically, she only wants what she can't have. He wanted her for 9 years, but she couldn't let go and be vulnerable with him and be open to love. And it's just like you snooze, you lose. B, you snooze, you lose. Okay, here's some examples of her being evil. Okay, she tries to manipulate Kimmy, which is her best friend's fiance, Cameron Diaz, into seeing all the bad in Michael, which is her best friend, and tries turning her off of him. Clearly, an act of love. Clearly, that's something you would do. If I love you, I'm going to talk smack to everyone about you so they don't love you. Only I get to. Okay. She openly flirts with Michael in front of Kimmy, which is just gross. The most insane thing that she does is she writes an email from Kimmy's father to Michael's boss in order to cause a rift in the relationship, thus putting his whole career at risk. And to me, that was the most psychotic thing person do. And then she kisses him on his wedding day in her last effort to steal him. Spoiler alert, she doesn't win. He ends up marrying the right person, who is Cameron Diaz's character, Kimmy, because obviously Julia Roberts is a psychopath.
That was the biggest surprise for me because especially with those old like rom-coms,
Mhm.
all those like crazy behaviors that you would get from the characters will always be brushed under the table and they would still come out victorious at the end. So that was like the biggest like surprise when it came to that. But I always wondered, so if you were to take that same movie,
Mhm.
but let's say you reversed the roles. Let's say it was the male best friend with the female best friend who's getting married to some like really good guy. Would this movie be received the same if you were to switch that, or would the behavior actually be noticed a lot faster?
No, it'd be a horror movie. It'd be like Fear. It'd be like Mark Wahlberg,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like punching his chest, trying to get a bruise. Like it would be a horror movie. Like it's double standard, man. Like
It's again right. This the that behavior is bad on both ends, regardless. But with it being, like you said, Julia Roberts, great smile, American sweetheart, it was just a little crazy. That's okay. That wasn't full blown crazy. Like, yeah, we're all good. Like, never mind not moving on to her and making her your girlfriend and wife. That's friendship over with that
Yes.
behavior. That's it.
It is so like the fact that, and it's just the fact that she doesn't love him. Like she can't be actually in love with him. She's just like, this is my property. I don't want anyone else to have him. Now that he's with somebody else, that's it. I'm jealous. And that is not real love. It is not real love. She should want his happiness, and she did not. She wanted him all to herself. You can easily write that one as a horror.
I feel it's a formula you can follow with many old rom-coms where a
Mhm.
lot of those behaviors, and then we did on our Tuesday show an episode on
Mhm.
uh rom-com like tropes. Some of those behaviors that they have there were like no one here should win. Like you should stay single. Like work on yourself. Stay away from the coma patient, Sandra Bullock.
Stay out of Seattle, Meg Ryan.
Yeah. Mine, the next one, it's like a mix of movie and TV show. And I know the movie portion has been talked about before, so I won't
Okay.
go too deep into it. I'll focus mostly on the TV show. But Daniel LaRusso for Karate Kid and Cobra Kai.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen any of these, so I haven't seen it, so you're gonna tell me.
Oh, okay. Well, he's supposed to be the good guy. You know, he's the one who does the big crane kick at the end, wins. So not just from the movie, but the show too. He
Okay.
shows bad person behavior. Now, first of all, the incident that pretty much was one of the catalysts from the movie, the original movie, was that Daniel LaRusso was getting involved with Johnny, the rival's girlfriend. And when Johnny didn't like that he was talking to his girlfriend, Daniel LaRusso was the one who threw the first punch in their first interaction. That
Mm.
led to Johnny responding, then Daniel responding, all that escalation that led to everything that happened in that movie was from him putting the moves on Johnny's girlfriend at the beat. But I don't want to over focus on the movie because this has been thrown out there a lot. In How I Met Your Mother, Barney's character, that's one of his major things. It's how in the movies Daniel was the bad guy, not Johnny.
Oh.
In the show, Daniel's character, even from the right from the start of the first season, he just like he's this pompous like character.
Mm.
Like he's the type of a person comes off that like everything has gone so well for him that he's above it all. Like
Oh.
super, yeah, yeah. Very self-righteous. If it's not his way, it is not the right way. Then you have Johnny, who since his defeat in the movie, his life has gone downhill. And he's just trying to survive at this point. Like, is he the nicest person? No, no, he's not. Not that he does like evil acts towards people, but he'll be rude. His
Mm.
some of the things he says can get him canceled. So he's not like model citizen, but he's just trying to survive. And one of the first things that happen in their interaction is that Daniel is embarrassing him in front of his staff, like basically mocking him because of what happened in high school when he defeated him. And no matter how much he's trying to change his life, he's trying to open his own dojo again and kind of use that to get some money and actually trying to help these kids. Daniel just keeps interfering. He starts sabotaging. He tries to get the owner to break the lease to get him kicked out, all because the dojo that he's starting is Cobra Kai, which used to be evil, but he's not even giving it a chance under Johnny because he has this set notion that his way is the right way and and the Cobra Kai is bad, and no one can change. If they were bad before, they're bad now.
Um,
And then throughout the series, they have so many like misunderstanding, and it's mostly driven because of Daniel LaRusso's self-righteousness and his refusal to accept that Johnny might not be this like evil person that he's after, which in turn makes him engage in behaviors where he's using his power and his privilege to try to completely tear Johnny down. to the ground, make him lose his livelihood and everything. Like
Or-
very shady tactics. And then even when Johnny trains these kids to protect themselves, like he takes on nerds that are being bullied, and he teaches them how to protect themselves.
yeah.
And and so then there's this tournament where they can gain legitimacy, and Daniel starts doing whatever he can to get them banned from the tournament. So he's letting his rivalry with Johnny get in the way of the kids and
Oh,
causing, yeah. So then the war that starts between Cobra Kai and Johnny, who decides to now he's going to start his dojo again, that whole war started because of Johnny's inability to let go of the past where he won, and let go of that past, regardless of the effect that it has of the kids involved.
my God. And we're supposed to be rooting for Daniel?
Hmm.
What? How?
Because
How?
he's the good guy.
But how is he the good guy if he's doing all these things?
Yeah, I mean the show as it goes on does a good job of balancing it out, where you see, you start to grow fond of Johnny, and you see him, like
Okay.
his struggle and things like that. But they're still trying to paint Daniel as a good guy. But he's just very like sneaky. It's kind of like we talked about Julia Roberts, how she didn't want him until he moved on and was doing
Yeah.
something else. Daniel had Russo, he had all this time to start his dojo. He didn't. When did
Mm.
he start his dojo? When he saw that Johnny started a dojo and he wanted to destroy that dojo.
See, and what's something we always say, Jose, is like you don't get success by dragging other people down. Like that's not the way. Or like we talk about in movies, characters and stuff. It's like you don't like win by taking other people down. Do it on your own merit. Daniel Caruso, is that it? Caruso?
LaRusso.
LaRusso.
Yeah. Yeah. There was even a scene where Daniel LaRusso's daughter got wasted at a party, and she was with Johnny's son, and they didn't want Johnny's son didn't want her to get in trouble, so he brought her to Johnny's apartment so she
Yeah.
can like sober up and everything. So she spent the night there, and you know Johnny basically took her in so she wouldn't get in
Yeah.
trouble. And then when LaRusso came the next day, banging on the door, he was trying to explain that she's okay, that she was, whatever, drunk, and she just stayed there and stuff. He tried to fight Johnny, wouldn't even let him talk and explain, because automatically in his head, it's like, no, you're evil.
Get over it, Daniel LaRusso. Get over it.
But good show to watch. Good show to watch.
Okay, so Jose, I know that you know who my last one is, my number three, the big saving the worst for last. You know who it is. You know.
I want to hear this argument, these reasonings.
The most villainous character in all of television. Are you guys ready? We're supposed to love her. We're supposed to find her endearing and cute and awkward and aloof. No, she's straight up villain. Can't stand her. She's full on corrupt. Pam Beasley.
Oh man, I had
From
to
The
put the
Office.
mic up to say it.
My passion is so real about this hate for Pam. I've seen The Office maybe like 6 times over, and every time I watch it, I find new things to dislike about her. I could go on, and I'm going to get heated, but I have done a verbal lashing about Pam already on my Instagram page. And a lot of these points are going to be already said by me, but I'm going to do it for you too because it's just too much. I'm like scrolling down. There's so many reasons. I'm going to try to just read them out because I'm going to get like off track. Okay. My first thought with Pam Beasley always was and always will be, what is her appeal? And I quote myself here because I find her character to be the equivalent of a premium plus cracker in a bowl of cream and mushroom soup. Bland, gray, boring. Just what is she? I can't see her appeal whatsoever. Even when Jim is talking to Michael on the boat or something about Pam, he's like, "Oh, she's warm." I'm like, "No, she's not." Anyway, I see I'm gonna get off track. I'm gonna bypass the dull personality and everything while she was engaged to Roy. I'm going to put all that aside and just stick to her as a girlfriend slash wife to Jim. Okay. There's a lot of hate online for Jim too, which I mean, I guess I can see their points, but if I had to pick the two, Pam, it sucks. And Jim is like a way better partner than Pam ever was. Okay, Jim is always supportive of Pam, no matter what she does. Her dreams, any hasty decisions she makes, he supports her all the time. He supported her when she wanted to go to art school, and he was very compassionate and understanding about it. And even when she had to stay longer in art school, he supported it. He was fine with it. He's like, whatever you need to do. And then when she left art school, he made sure she didn't feel like a failure. He's like, you didn't fail. Everything's okay. When Michael left to start his own company and Pam just like quit her job on the spot and went with him, Jim didn't get upset. He was like, okay, sure. I'll just bring all your stuff home. No problem. Nothing. No anger, no resentment. No, like, what the hell are you doing? No issue at all. Yet when Jim wanted to pursue his actual dream of starting athlete, this I don't know, what was it even? Like an athletic type sports team type, what was it? I don't remember.
Mhm.
Anyway, his dream was this job. All she did was mope around because they couldn't be sitting 10 feet away from each other anymore every day. Like, are you serious? People get upset about him not telling Pam right away about athlete, but obviously he knew like how she was going to react because she hates change and all she wants is like to stay in Scranton forever and keep Jim in one spot, and everything that she wants to change is like has to be like for her. She has known from the beginning of the series that Jim wants something more out of his professional life, and she wants to keep him immature and pulling pranks and working in an office forever. I just find that so like
He doesn't want to sell paper for the rest of his life from a desk.
I know. And he doesn't want to really, and to sit with Dwight and make pranks. That's what she wants for him, Jose. That's all she wants for him, to keep him stagnant and stuck in this office that he hates and he's not fulfilled. And okay, I'm going on. I'm gonna get too bad. I'm like pointing and touching the desk. Okay.
It's gonna
Okay,
smash
her
right through the desk.
just like her not supporting Jim's dream of athlete is like probably one of the most devastating things I've seen like in TV. And she gets upset with him for investing his full 10 grand into the business when frankly I feel like she should have encouraged investing as much as she should. This is his dream job. Like, go all in, baby. Go all in and try to make it work, you know? Is that she gets mad at him. To quote myself again on my video, what's wrong, Pam? Is there not enough money left over to buy more neutral colored cardigans? Is that it?
I guess she doesn't believe in that, like, if you win, we win, and if I win, we win
No,
type aspect. She's
no.
just more like, I need to win, but you just stay there.
And you can only win my way, because she heard the conversation with Jim and Daryl in the hallway about athlete finally like getting big and successful. And Jim's like, yeah, man, this is everything, but I can't do it. I can't move to Philly. I can't do that to Pam. She should have bust out of that bathroom and been like, you need to do this. Please go do it. Please, you need to do the stream. Don't stay here for me and be like resentful and like stay in Scranton. You need to go do this. I don't know
I'll
how
be
she
like,
can
let's
live with her.
go. Let's
I know,
go.
right? Let's go to
I mean,
Philly. That's
she
Scranton.
doesn't she didn't want to leave that job, that desk.
I don't know how she lives with herself. I don't know how Pam Beasley actually lives with herself, keeping Jim miserable. Like, this is his dream.
I think I know why. Because she is a plant put in there by Dwight. So in the end, Dwight had the ultimate prank of putting in Pam to infiltrate and keep him down. So all those pranks that he pulled on Dwight, they mean nothing to the ultimate prank that Dwight pulled on him with Pam. That's my theory.
I wouldn't doubt it. I can see Pam just long conning a husband because she has no feelings and doesn't know love. Got a couple more things, and then I'll be done with Pam. Feces recital. Okay. Jim has to be at work in Philly, and then he's been practicing with his daughter this whole time for her recital, and he's not going to be there during it. So all he wants is Pam to record the recital because he needs to see his daughter's recital. And he really stresses it like, hey, please get the camera right. Please get it recording. I just really want to do it. Okay, so not only did she leave her ringer on her cell phone and answer her phone during a children's recital, her own child's recital, but she didn't record it properly after the phone call she answered, after Jim stressed how important it is to him to see the video. And he's trying so hard to like fulfill his dreams for himself, but also for his family, and all the while missing his children grow. And then she can't even record the video properly. And then when she tells him that she didn't record the video properly, she's like, oh, typical me. Oh, I messed up the video, all nonchalant, like no one cares. I'm like, I would have cried and been devastated. Like I screwed it up. Her dad can't see the only video. Like, do you really have to answer your phone during your child's recital, Pam, for a stupid mural? They could have went to voicemail. Let it go to voicemail, Pam.
I feel that's even more evil than the other one. 'Cause that's a kid. He just wants to see the kid perform.
She had one job. And the way she presented it, like, oh well, I screwed it up. Typical Pam. It's like, are you kidding me? Feel bad, Pam.
You think she did it on purpose to then be like, well, you see, you chose to take that job and that next step, so this is what you're missing.
That's what she says. She's like, well, maybe you should have been here. Shut up. Makes me so mad. Okay, so those are the big reasons why I don't like her. There's just some smaller reasons that are still terrible. She basically borderline blames Jim at first for Pam's dad leaving Pam's mom because Jim had a conversation with Pam's dad, this nicest conversation about how much he loves Pam. And I guess her dad doesn't feel like that for Pam's mom. And she's like, what did you say to my dad to make him want to leave my mom? Like, are you serious? Are you 5? And the way she handled Michael dating her mom, screaming like a whiny baby and acting like a spoiled brat, like she's so immature. She's so immature. I just can't stand her. I have to add how much better off Roy was once he left her and moved on from Pam and found someone new. He was successful and sweet and rich and talented. And he says to Jim, oh, I dodged a bullet with that one. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you sure as that did. Oh my God. And one last thing. I'm glad that Jim ended up with Pam for his sake because for some reason he loves her so much. I don't know. But Karen Filippelli was so much better than Pam. She was super attractive. She had an awesome personality. She was intelligent and fun, but still mature. She sings karaoke on stage at Phyllis's wedding. She speaks French and she plays Call of Duty. She plays video games. That one scene where Jim pretends to throw a grenade at Karen and then Karen takes her paper clips off her desks and like makes an explosion. I'm like, marry her right there. Marry that woman. But no, it's Pam and her frizzy hair cardigan. Mm.
I bet she would have recorded the whole thing. Perfect. Would have had 3 different angles edited together.
Oh yeah. Oh, oh, Karen Filippelli knows what's up, and she actually cared about Jim, it seemed, and she would have put Jim like on a pedestal first, and Pam just puts herself first all the time. Is what Pam wants all the time. I hate Pam Beasley.
I remember, I forget what movie it is. I don't know if it's 13 Hours, but there's a movie that has Jim and Roy, and they're both like part of the same squad. They're soldiers, part of the same squad. I remember when I saw that movie and they were there together, I'm like, they both escaped her. They went to war to get away.
Run for your lives, sacrifice your life. It's better than being with Pam.
So we have Jim and Pam, and they're together.
Yeah.
Then you come to find out that Jim was actually childhood friends with Julia Roberts' character, and they made a pact that by a certain point they were going to get married. So now Julia Roberts comes in with her same behaviors and starts trying to get Jim away from Pam.
Mhm.
Who do you want Jim to end up with? Julia Roberts' character or Pam's character?
My first initial instinct is to say Julia Roberts' character, because I feel like Jim is just under this weird trance of Pam. I don't know, like, she's like under some Pam spell, and he can't really see her for who she actually is. So I feel like get him out of there. But Julia Roberts really is messed up in that movie, man. Like, I don't know. She, I don't know. That's a tough one. You know what? Maybe Pam and Ross should get together and then it would be like a good thing. There you go. Pam and
Then
Ross. They're both controlling,
neither of them are going to progress in their career.
and also they're both just going to stay in one spot, Central Perk forever, and that's it. And then they'll be happy. And yeah.
I think what would happen is Julia Roberts wins
Mm-hmm.
and she gets him. So then
Mm-hmm.
they move away. But at
Mm-hmm.
this point, now that Jim has an interest in Julia Roberts is going to no longer be interested. So she's going to turn her eye to someone else. They're going to break up. So then Jim's going to be single, but he's been away from Pam enough that he's already over that. And then he gets to progress and live his life away from both of them and maybe find someone else. Not Rose.
You deserve no one.
All right. So for my last one, probably going to get some hate for this one. But it's something I've felt for a while. The Jedi are villains.
Oh, I have heard this before. My brother has gone off about this before. So yeah.
Yeah, I believe, and there's so much history in Star Wars, so many things. So I'm not gonna get into everything. Just focus
Mm-hmm.
on some, you know, general things, and then I'm gonna focus on just like the whole Anakin situation. So first of all, they come out overall. I mean, you have your exceptions here and there, but overall, they see like this whole god complex when it comes to like the Jedi. They give me these like religious culty vibes. You know, like their moral standing stands above everyone else. Everything is so absolute for them. You know, black and white. There's no gray at all. You know, they'll those situations where they refuse to intervene in situations that they could have helped people because they had to stick to their rules and their
Mm,
code. So who cares how many people die? You know, that doesn't fit our picture, so we don't interfere when you're supposed to be these protectors
mm,
overall. So there's a lot of inconsistency and hypocrisy with when they choose to act, when they choose, not to act, when they're hands off, or when they decide that they want to be, uh, you know, judge, jury, and executioner themselves. So sometimes when it benefits them, they're like, oh, there has to be a trial, like they have to do this. Other times you have like Mace Windu, where it was like, oh, you're a bad guy, you're the emperor. I'm not gonna report you or like try to get a trial. I'm just gonna try to assassinate you right here. Was Palpatine bad? Yes. But again, for an organization that's all about like code and moral, should you just be assassinating someone off of your own judgment? So
mm-hmm.
that's one of their problems overall as an organization, as a group. They're just so culty and like unwiltering when it comes to their moral standing. Now, just on the Anakin situation themselves, okay? Their actions is what pushed Anakin to the dark side more than Palpatine's influence. I don't think he would have had that much of an influence if they weren't literally with their actions pushing him over towards there. They always seem like condescending towards like Anakin overall, which would piss anyone off. What they did, and this is mainly in like Clone Wars, what they did to his Padawan and to drive her away. So for anyone who's seen that, so his Padawan gets framed for a terrorist attack, basically an explosion. Without hesitation, they just turn her in at all to face trial for possible death penalty, not listening to anything she has to say, to Anakin's pleas for his power, not even at all considering that maybe she didn't do it, to just turn her in right away, knowing that they're looking for the death penalty. And then when she finally gets cleared, thanks to Anakin, who clears her, not even an apology to her.
Mm.
They hit her with the, oh, okay. Well, this was actually good for you because it shows you that the force works in mysterious ways.
Oh,
They hit her they hit her with that like, oh, we don't need to apologize for not believing you and sending you to trial to almost be put to death for something you didn't do at all because the force works in mysterious ways. You learn from this, you grow. So anyway, this was actually good for you. So they hit it with that, which
oh,
then leads yeah, leads to her basically looking through the veil and seeing the Jedi bullshit and being like, this isn't what I thought it was. And she leaves on her own, leaving Anakin. And even though he didn't want a Padawan originally, he grew to love his Padawan. Their relationship was like big brother, little sister, like throughout
Hmm.
it. And that is a big important catalyst towards him going towards the dark side when they stripped that away from him and pushed her away. It wasn't too long after that that everything else happened. So there's that. The other thing is he was good enough to be a soldier, but not good enough to be, in within their leadership, within their little in group that they had there. They gaslit the crap out of him. Their words were saying multiple times, he's the chosen one. He's the one who's gonna bring balance and all that. But their actions were actually holding him back. They
Mm.
wouldn't let him in. They wouldn't let him keep going up. They kept keeping him at distance, making him feel inadequate, making him feel uncrusted, like they don't have his back. So they were like watering that seed of doubt within him with their actions and pushing him that way. So that, and then from the start, they took him away from his mother with these grand promises. Again, you're the chosen one. You have all these great things ahead of you. And then things didn't go well for his mother. They weren't even there to protect her. And they expect Anakin to just be like, oh, oh well, that sucks that happens, but stay on the mission, no emotions, like nothing at
Yeah.
all. Yes, I just lost my mother. And when we could have easily brought her over or watch over her or something. They left her to her own like life when things weren't great, and they expect him not to react. And then when he falls in love and wants to have a family, like he wants to be in love, he wants to be with her, eventually that they basically threaten him in a way. They do that thing that religions tend to do where basically they're like, that's not the Jedi way. That leads actions like that can lead you to the dark side, having those emotions, having those feelings. It reminds me of like when you see with like kids and sometimes heavily religious people, how do they threaten their kids? They're like, you can't do that or you're gonna go to hell.
Hmm.
And it's that fear that they try to shape their behavior through that fear, like you go to hell. That's basically what the Deadites do, where they're like, you can't do that, you must do this, or it'll lead you to the dark side, and you don't want to be in the dark side. And that's how they're scared, trying to scare him off from love, from being in love. So again, I can go on this all day, but it's like all those little things, and that's just focusing on their behavior with Anakin, how the mistreatment they did to him, and then afterwards they're like, "Oh my God, how did he? Why is he so angry? Why did he go to the dark side? Why is he mad at us? Like we gave him so many things." Ugh,
A lot of these people and a whole organization that we said have a lot of things in common where they want to keep you down. They don't want you to progress unless they say they want you to progress a certain way, and they want to keep you theirs and under their control. And wow, that is so gaslighting where it's like we can do whatever we want, but you are not allowed to react any certain way because that's bad for you. If you are reacting this way, if you feel anger, that's terrible. So I can kill your mother, but you can't, or your mother can die and you can't react to it because you're going to go to the dark side, buddy.
yeah.
So, just no feelings, no emotions, only the feelings we say, only what we say goes. Whoa.
Because we know telling people to repress their feelings is the most healthy thing they
Yeah.
can possibly do. And that's basically what
Yeah.
they did with Anakin. I I can 100% guarantee that if they they took him in. And of course you can't bring the mother to where, they're training him and all of that stuff, but maybe, I don't know, move her to a safer setting at all
Hmm.
because this
Hmm.
is the mother of the chosen one. You might want to. the chosen one happy. If they would have done that, so that he doesn't have to worry about his mother, if they would have nurtured him, if they would have, showed trust in him, at all, I think he would have been what their words were saying it would have been. And I don't think the dark side would have been able to persuade him that easily, because before he turned, he did everything in his power to try to live up to their standard, as impossible as it was.
Now I'm gonna watch the OG trilogy and just be like, I'm glad you're Vader. Get him, Vader. Do it. Destroy them all.
The Jedi is supposed to be about people, right? About being, justice and
Hmm.
good and all that. And what do the few Jedis, the big Jedis, do? Like Yoda, when they get all taken out, they go into hiding for how
Yeah.
many years? They're like, no, let the humans, let the rebellions fight on their own. There's no way they can use Yoda. I'm just gonna go hide for all these years. Again, hypocritical behavior. And that's why the Jedis are not the heroes they get made out to be. Not saying the Sith are perfect, but at least they're upfront about their evilness and their
Yeah.
actions. The Jedi, they paint this whole angelic like image, like, no, we're
Yeah.
good, strive for us,
Mm.
while they're stabbing you in the back.
They're sabering everybody right in the back. I'm gonna look at it differently now, Jose. Now I watch Star Wars. I'm gonna root for the bad guys. Let's go.
I'm a Darth Vader fan. I'm like, you were wronged, okay? You
Yes,
were wronged. And
he
even
was wrong.
all that wrong and everything, in the end, he still came back around because of his son.
Mm,
He still came back
I
around,
know.
and he still turned. Meaning that was in him the whole time. But is he supposed to just continue blindly loyal to the group that just keeps pushing him down? No.
No. To all the Pam Beasleys out there and all the Daniel LaRussos and all the Jedis out there, if you keep doing what you're doing and behaving the way you're behaving, Ross Gellers, you're gonna get some Vaders in this world, okay? It's your fault. It's your fault there's a dark side.
Yeah. You're the reason for villain origin stories.
So true. I love talking about this. I felt the passion for all of us. I don't know about you, but I'm a little bit sweaty. Um, I want to know if anybody
I'm
agrees with us.
leaning forward in my
I
chair. Like,
know
I'm
it's
not
like what?
relaxed back. I'm like, "Ugh."
I'm punching the desk. I'm like punching. Oh god. Does anyone agree with us? Does anyone totally disagree with us? Does anybody just totally love Pam? I always keep saying Pam. I just because I can't. I don't get it. So if you can try to convince me, then do it.
And let us know, are there any protagonists or heroes or anything that's supposed to be the good guy that you do not think is the good guy, that they're really villains in disguise?
Yes, please tell us below. Comment, like, subscribe. I'm just doing this part early. Share and tell us. Thank you for watching the side quest with Jose. Yay, yay. You can watch more of us and our episodes on our YouTube channel, Not a Strong Start. And you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Not a Strong Start. You can follow me on Instagram at Replays It All. And you can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast. And Jose, where do we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at This Is Me Nombre.
Never stop playing and also never stop siding with the bad guys sometimes because you just convinced me to love Darth Vader and the Sith.
Never stop exposing these frauds.
That's what they are. Big fat phonies.
Baba Diba.
Dabadai.